welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be my review of Gabriel's Inferno Part 2. So if you're new to my channel, I do these videos where I read the book and watch the passionflix adaptation and I review it, and it's done kind of in a vlog style. I just basically vlog me reading the book and give you guys my review and do the same thing for the adaptation that they have on passionflix. Back at the end of May, they had the adaptation for Gabriel's Inferno Part 1, which I did watch and review, and I will link that video down below if you want to check it out. I love that video. I'm very proud of that video. I am excited to be doing a video for Part 2. So I guess I should explain that the adaptation of Gabriel's Inferno Part 1, 2, and 3 is just an adaptation of the first book. So all 3 parts only cover the first book. The adaptation itself was so long, like over 5 hours, that they decided to split it up into 3 parts so that it would be easier to edit and so that we could see each part faster. So that's why there are 3 parts for the first book. I feel like a lot of people were initially confused from my first video that I did because I didn't really explain that Part 1, 2, and 3 are just an adaptation of the first book. I've already reviewed the first part, as I said, and now this is my review for Part 2. I will also link all of my passionflix related videos down below if you want to check out more of my passionflix stuff. And I will also link my trailer reaction to the trailer for Part 2 because I did react to the trailer, so I will link that down below as well. Obviously this experience will be a little bit different because I'm not rereading the whole book because I obviously reread it for Part 1. So this video probably will be a little bit shorter because I will just be rewatching Part 1 and then I will watch Part 2 and give you guys all my thoughts. I'm not going to be rereading anything, I don't think. So this video will just kind of be a vlog slash review of me like watching Part 2. So I think that's it for my little intro. I guess let's get on with the video. So I'm actually gonna rewatch Part 1 right now and give you some other thoughts if I have any more about Part 1. I have already seen it 3 times or 4 times, I want to say. And yeah, I wanted to rewatch it before I watch Part 2. That way if I have any other thoughts or whatever, I can just get them out there. I also did want to show you guys, if you watched Part 1, I did talk about getting the Henry Holiday painting, and I actually did finally get it and I have it in a frame now. So I want to show you guys. I can't really see if there's a glare or anything, but this is what it looks like. I did get it from Etsy, the picture itself. I think it cost me like $20 or something, and I'm really happy with it. I did have to cut it a little bit because it didn't fit in this frame, and that's why it kind of looks uneven because it wasn't, I didn't really have to cut like the length. I had to cut like how wide it was, so I had to cut more on the sides and I had to cut the picture a little bit. It literally pained me to do that, but I had to so it could fit in the frame. This picture frame I got from Michael's. I really love this picture. I'm so happy I decided to buy it. Yeah, I'm gonna hang this in my hallway and I'm very much in love with it. I think this picture itself was in a book. I think it was in a book of like popular paintings or something. It wasn't really clear on where the specific print was from, but I'm pretty sure it was like part of a book or something and they just took out the pages or something. But yeah, very happy with this. I wanted to kind of just update you guys on it. I did post on my Instagram when I first received it, but obviously not all of you follow me on my Bookstagram, so yeah, I wanted to show you guys this. I'm gonna go ahead and rewatch Part 1. It's a little weird because it's currently Saturday right now, Sunday while I'm putting this up. Part 2 came out yesterday for me, and I literally like have purposely avoided Twitter and like all social media because I don't want to see like any clips or like pictures or anything. I have seen a few. Oh yeah, right when you sign in, or when I sign in, Part 2 is literally on the screen. Okay, let's rewatch Part 1. I'll give you guys my thoughts. Oh yeah, I also forgot they released behind the scenes stuff, which I did not watch yet. I might watch after I watch Part 2, but yeah, I'm gonna go rewatch Part 1. Okay, so I finished rewatching Part 1 which I still love, and honestly I don't have any like extra thoughts. I mean, I love it, and I've pretty much summed all of my thoughts in my first review. Yeah, I don't have any like additional points that I wanted to add, but I am glad I decided to rewatch part 1. And right before I start part 2, I kind of want to predict where I think it will end. So even though I basically have like been avoiding social media and like any spoilers on part 2, I have heard 2 things about it. One, it doesn't end when right before they go home for Thanksgiving. So either that means it's longer or shorter than that. And I've also heard that it ends kind of like at a shocking moment or part, I don't really know. Or maybe it just stops at like a frustrating part. I'm not exactly sure. But part 2 ends at around chapter 15, which is page 206. So part 2 is an hour and 45 minutes, I think. So I'm trying to think of where it would end. Like, I was kind of looking at this while I was rewatching part 1 a little bit, because I was like, I don't know where part 2 would end. I want to say like around the 300 mark, but I'm not exactly sure. I literally don't know where it's gonna end, you guys. Like, I'm trying to reread a little bit here, and I honestly don't know, because apparently we meet Professor Payne. So it's definitely after that. Maybe by chapter 22? I don't know. I feel like I really can't predict where part 2 is gonna end. And I'm gonna go ahead and start watching part 2 now. Okay, so I am 25 minutes in. And oh my god. Oh my god, the lecture or seminar scene, whatever that scene is called, intense. Oh my god, you could just feel the emotions off of both of them. And then in his office, oh my goodness, that kiss. I'm already like in love with this movie. I'm going to keep watching, and so far so good. Like, I'm loving it. I also love how they had a little bit of like flashbacks to the end of like part 1. There is a part of me that did wish they would have dragged on the like separation a little bit longer, but I understand for time reasons why they would shorten it. But I think they did a really good job with all of that. But I still wish it was just a little bit longer, because then it doesn't really feel like they were really separated for that long. Yeah, so far it's good, and I'm gonna keep watching.
I'm going to make dinner, but I need to step out and pick up a few things. Will you be all right?
Of course.
Promise me you won't leave.
I promise.
Okay, I am halfway through, so I have like 52 minutes left, and I'm really loving it. It is much more intense and angsty. I feel like I said this when I reviewed the book, but I forgot like how romantic Gabriel is, and you can definitely see that in the movie in part 2. I said this in like part 1 as well. I always like how Gabriel always just wants to talk about things, but also like, I know he's still kind of secretive, obviously. I don't know, there's a weird thing where like they communicate a lot, yet they don't at the same time. Like, it doesn't really make sense, but I don't know how to explain it. That literally makes no sense. I'm sorry. But yeah, they have a lot of chemistry. I don't know, I don't really have much else to add at the halfway mark. I'm loving everything right now. So basically we're not even, I don't feel like we're even that far in. Okay, yeah, I guess we're we're still only like 268 pages in. I'm also noticing more and more that the dialogue is not from book to screen like it normally is with all of their adaptations, which I'm enjoying a lot more. It just seems more natural and more organic, and it doesn't come across as forced as a lot of their past adaptations. I feel like with each adaptation that they do, that often happens is like they get better and better with the dialogue and not so much copying word for word, yet still keeping the scenes very similar to the book and as accurate as possible, but still making the dialogue more natural and like how you would actually talk in real life. So yeah, I'm definitely noticing that a lot more. I still have no idea where it's gonna stop, but I'm hella curious. So let's keep watching. I will probably update you guys more towards the end or when I'm actually done, I think. Unless I have anything else to say. I just finished watching part 2 and wow. First of all, I did not expect it to end there. I thought it would end more when they were on their way back home. It ended pretty much on like page 390. I will have to say I noticed more that they mixed a few scenes together. There were definitely scenes that weren't in the movie. So I'm wondering if they'll mix a few other scenes as well, because right now it was just like of them kind of like falling in love and spending time together, and there was no like other threats. Like Krista wasn't really in the picture yet, like she's not really a threat very much. I find it quite interesting the way that they mixed some scenes. Like I feel like they mixed some of the conversations, because they had that one conversation at the dinner table, and then they also had like that conversation in bed, and they kind of mixed those two scenes together a little bit, which was really interesting. I like the way that they did that because then it just kind of split things up more. You definitely can see the chemistry more between both actors. They definitely have a lot of chemistry, like all those kisses and those makeout scenes. Wow. Those were great. So I guess like this is pretty much what we'll have left for part 3, which is really interesting. Well, I guess it's more like this, to be honest. It's so weird because part 1 was so incredibly accurate to the book, and then it kind of felt weird because part 2 definitely strayed away from certain scenes and certain aspects, and they definitely cut things out that weren't necessarily that important or that necessary for the story. Like a lot of just cute scenes that they cut out that really didn't make sense. I liked also kind of that little montage of them just spending time together and being together. That was really, really cute. Part 2 is definitely better in my opinion. I loved it a lot more than part 1. Even though I did really love part 1, I still love part 2 like even more because it was really good. Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see where and what they're gonna change for part 3. So I think I'm just gonna sit on it for a little bit, and then I will gather all my thoughts and give you guys kind of a final wrap-up situation. So it's many hours later, and I have already edited most of this video, so I feel like it's now time for me to wrap up all of my thoughts and give you guys like my overall review. And I'm not doing it in the room with all my bookshelves because I'm too lazy to move everything, so we're just gonna keep doing the video in here. Comparing each part to the book is really hard because it's not one complete adaptation yet. Like it's literally just parts of the book. I'm feeling like it is difficult for me to do a comparison to the book and to the adaptations because it's not a complete adaptation yet, if that makes sense. I'm pretty sure I said that in part 1 too. I haven't even rewatched my first review, so I'm probably saying a lot of the same things, and I'm sorry, but I haven't rewatched it, so I actually don't know if I am saying a lot of the same things. I definitely liked part 2 more. It just had more like romancy stuff, and it was more about them falling in love and getting to know each other, and it was a lot cuter. It wasn't as serious, but it also still was serious, much like the book. You got to see Gabriel and Julia become more like themselves and who they are, and you got to see them develop as characters, but then also develop together, if that makes sense. So I really enjoyed that. As I said, they did cut out quite a few things, and it wasn't as word for word as part 1 was. I feel like part 1 definitely had more book dialogue. Book 2, as I kind of said, did stray a little bit, and they did mix a few things together, but still had the important conversations and had the important scenes in there, of course. I don't think I said this in part 1, but I want to give a major props to Melanie because she's Australian and her American accent is flawless. Like, I honestly forget she's Australian because her accent is so great. I don't think I gave her enough credit in my review for part 1, so I really wanted to say that her accent is amazing, and she still plays like a really innocent, naive, yet strong female character. She continues to do an amazing job with that. And Julio was amazing as Gabriel, as he always is. And I can't imagine how much of a challenge it is for him as an actor to try to have the strongest American accent that he can have, you know, while hiding his Italian accent. And also like doing that while he's yelling. Like during the seminar scene and them fighting in his office, him yelling and still trying to pronounce things properly, I can't imagine how challenging that would be, and I just want to give him major props for that too. They both did an amazing job, and their chemistry was just off the charts. All of their makeout scenes were so intense. This is probably a little weird, but anytime that they had like their makeout scenes, I could always see like when Melanie's makeup would be like rubbed off on her, like her nose and her mouth and her chin, because you could see it was like kind of red, and you could see that some of her makeup was scrubbed off. I don't know why that was funny to me, but like I literally kept noticing it. Like after you see it once, you can't unsee it, and I just kept noticing that her makeup would be rubbed off. That cake scene was so intense, and just like you could feel the tension, but you could also feel like the chemistry and how like attracted they both were. They just did such a great job. Like part 1 and part 2 would have been horrible if they did not have any chemistry whatsoever, but I do feel like their chemistry really sells it, and you can definitely feel it more in part 2, and I can't imagine how part 3 is. Like, I'm sure their chemistry is just like, it's probably literally on fire in part 3, which I'm very excited to see. Didn't I say chapter 20 or 21, I think I said it was when it would end, and I was completely wrong because it was like 390. So I was kind of off by a lot, but I didn't think they would end it kind of like in the middle of a chapter or like in the middle of a scene kind of. I thought they would end it more in like a break, but they ended it literally in the middle of a chapter. Even though I reread Gabriel's Inferno back at the end of May, I have a really bad memory, so I'm still kind of forgetting some things. And I could be totally wrong that they mixed a few of the scenes together, but I also feel like they did. I don't know, I'm sure y'all will correct me in the comments. I really loved part 1, but part 2 definitely stood out. It definitely just thrived more off of the actors' chemistry and their characters falling in love and getting to know each other, and it definitely made the story more interesting, if that makes sense. I'm pretty sure I rated part 1 4 stars, so if I were to rate part 2, I think it's like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I loved it a little bit more than part 1. My favorite scenes are probably the like cute little montage of them like being together a lot, and anytime that they had a scene in a bed for some reason I really enjoyed, like the one where she sleeps over for the first time, or when he sleeps at her place, or when they have a conversation in his bed. I really loved those scenes as well. I also really enjoyed their makeout scene in the gallery, or like the art gallery place that was really well done. Honestly, I just enjoyed it all. So the whole thing was like my favorite scenes. I don't know, I really loved the whole thing. I also did not watch the behind the scenes video. I didn't watch it yet. I'll probably watch it in a few days. I just don't really feel like watching it right now. I'm so excited for part 3. I feel like part 3 is really gonna like blow us away because so much happens towards the end. I'm so excited to see all those scenes. Like, I'm so excited to see the scene where Gabriel tells Julia what happened in his past, just to see how that's done, because I know that Tosca has talked a lot about how those scenes were amazing and beautiful and all that, so I'm very excited to see that. I'm also excited to see all the Thanksgiving scenes and all the family together. Part 3 is going to be really interesting, so I'm very excited for all of that. Yeah, overall part 2 was fantastic. I really loved it. I don't think I have really much else to add other than it was great, and I'm very excited for more. Let me know your guys' thoughts on part 2, and what was your favorite scene, and what scene you're excited to see in part 3. Also, I don't think there is a date for part 3 yet, but I will leave in the info box or in the comments down below whenever we do get an announcement of the 3rd part. That is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give it a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!